Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. This is Nmoleo here, and today we're going to be turning this regular 3DS into the ultimate 3DS. Let's get started. So here is my 3DS. It's a new Nintendo 3DS XL. I don't know who thought it was a good idea to name it that. Anyway, it's a pretty basic 3DS. You can't really customize the actual hardware very much. So the way I'm going to be creating the ultimate 3DS is by putting on a whole bunch of accessories. Let's start with the first one, this grip for the console. It's sold by the brand My Life Unit, and it clips into your console like this. So I've had this grip for almost as long as I've had the 3DS itself, and I have to say that I'm not a fan of it. So first of all, in my opinion, it fails at its main task, and that task is to make the console more comfortable. I find it really doesn't help at all, although it doesn't really make it any less comfortable either. I find it adds a little bit to the thickness of the 3DS, so if you like holding something that's a little bit thicker than your 3DS, that maybe will help a little bit, but I find it really doesn't help at all, because what I would really like is for it to extend outside to the left and the right of the 3DS, but it does not do that. So you might like it, but I don't like it. Oh, there are some other problems too. So when I'm using the grips, it makes a lot of creaking sounds, which is kind of distracting and it makes it hard to hear my game. Also, you cannot access the game card slot without taking the grip off the console. Oh, and the power button is basically impossible to press in this thing unless you use a pen. The only thing I like about it is it makes it a fairly decent stand for my console. I like to have all my 3DS and DS consoles on a shelf up here on their respective stands, so this grip is a reasonable way to stand up the 3DS because it doesn't really fit in the other stands that I use for my other consoles. Anyway though, since this grip isn't going to work on me, I'd still like a little bit of protection on my 3DS, so I bought this case. Usually I don't put things like these on my DS consoles, but since this 3DS is the most expensive DS that I have, I wanted to give it a little bit of protection, just to prevent it from getting scratched or broken. So I like this case because it's see-through, so you can still see the amazing look of the console. But unfortunately my console already has a bunch of scratches on the top, because I bought it used, but this should help prevent any new scratches from accumulating. This case also came with a screen protector, and like I said, I don't usually put cases or screen protectors on my consoles, but since this one is more expensive, I don't want the bottom screen to get scratched by the stylus, and if it were to get scratched, I didn't want to do a screen replacement, so this should be a good option to prevent the scratching. And so, like I said, the case and the screen protector came in a bundle together, so I'll leave a link in the description to the bundle, but I'll also leave links to separate cases and screen protectors if you wanted to buy just one of them, but I have not bought those, so you'll have to try them out yourself. So next I have these wrist straps. I bought this set of 3 online, plus I also have this one that I borrowed from my fat DS. I actually learned just recently that all Nintendo DS and 3DS consoles have a slot for the wrist strap, not just the original DS. These wrist straps that I ordered online, I find are much nicer than the one that came with my fat DS because they're a little bit longer, whereas I find the one on the fat DS is not quite long enough for me to keep it comfortably on my wrist as I'm playing. So if you're taking your 3DS on the go, you'll probably want a charger that can be connected to USB so you don't have to find a wall outlet anywhere. This one is great, it works for any DSi or 3DS console, and you can connect it to a phone charger, a laptop, a computer, or a power bank. Oh, and speaking of power banks, if you don't have one, I'd highly recommend this one here. It's an Oaksu brand power bank. It has a capacity of 10,000 milliamp hours. That's about 3 phone charges, 6 3DS charges, or 2 Nintendo Switch charges. It has 2 USB ports, a micro USB port for charging, and a USB Type-C port, which can be used to either charge the power bank or charge your devices from the power bank. And it has Qualcomm fast charging, so I can charge my phone at the same rate as my Samsung wall charger. It also has USB-C power delivery, so you can charge a Nintendo Switch while playing handheld. So some power banks, they don't output quite enough power, so even if it's plugged into the Switch, if you're trying to play while charging, your Switch's battery will actually drain faster than it's being charged. Oh, and speaking of 3DS cables, if you have a lot of handhelds like me, you'll probably want this beast of a cable. It can charge a 3DS, DSi, DS Lite, Game Boy Advance SP, original DS, Wii U gamepad, and a PlayStation Portable. I don't think you can charge all of these at once with this cable, and I wouldn't recommend it, but it's great for versatility so that I don't have to buy separate cables for all the consoles. Next I'm going to need an SD card. I'm running custom firmware on my 3DS, and I dumped all my game cartridges onto the SD card, so that instead of carrying around all my cartridges, all the games are safe on the SD card. If you want to install custom firmware, don't watch a video on how to do that. They become outdated often when new information is discovered, and so if you do this procedure wrong, you could end up destroying your 3DS and never be able to use it again. So I'll leave a link in the description for the best guide to install custom firmware. And please do note that I don't condone piracy of games. It's okay to copy your games to the SD card if you legally own the game cartridges, but downloading a game you don't own is illegal. Do not do that. Anyway though, I have this awesome 64GB Samsung SD card in my console, and I have another one just like this in my Switch. So that's all the accessories that I have, but there's a few others that I'd like to discuss that I don't have. The first is this telescoping stylus. I ordered one of these, but it's coming from China and it won't be here for quite a while, so I decided to just continue the video without it. So it fits inside your 3DS, but it extends to 5 inches as opposed to the regular stylus being 3.5 inches. I've always found the regular stylus to be a little bit small, although I don't usually notice it because most 3DS games don't use the stylus, whereas a lot of DS games they really do. The next thing is an upgraded battery. The new 3DS XL comes with a 1750 mAh battery by default, but you can get this upgraded one here that has 2500 mAh. I'm a little wary of this battery, so I didn't get one for myself. I find my console already has great battery life, and often the batteries you buy online don't have as much capacity as they advertise, so this battery could end up actually having less capacity than the one that originally came with my console. But I'll leave a link in the description anyway in case anybody would like to try this out. And last of all, there's this docking station. So the new 3DS has two things on the back, these two little prongs here that allow you to put it into a docking station. And so since I like to keep my console on a shelf, I don't want to get the dock, but this dock looks like it's pretty good, so I'll leave a link in the description for you guys if anybody's interested in it. So guys, that just about wraps up the video, so don't forget I will be leaving links to all of these products down in the description there, so if you're interested in checking any of these out and purchasing them yourself, they will be right down there in the description. So if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to leave a like, and if you haven't already subscribed, I would very much appreciate it if you do that. So for anyone who's been previously watching my channel, I have not uploaded in quite a long time, but I hope to be continuing making these videos in the future. So this will be my first new video, and hopefully I'll be continuing these videos. So it's been a while and I'm glad to be back. Thank you guys for watching and have a nice day.